Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
Hey guys, what's up? Amir Reiter, Transform Sales Podcast. Another episode of the software demo review series. I got my guest, Steve Benson, CEO of Badger Maps. I had the pleasure of meeting Steve maybe 6 years ago in San Francisco. Happy to say that he has now moved to Spain. Congratulations, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks a lot. Happy to be here.
So, Steve, during this podcast demo series, we really like to just kind of dive into a general overview of the software. But before I ask you to share your screen and do a demo, I got a few questions to ask. Start off by maybe just introducing Badger Mapping and telling all the listeners a little about the software and what it does for people that they couldn't do before the software existed.
Absolutely, yeah. So what we do is we help field salespeople, and we help them with is being more effective with their time when they're out in the field. So what that entails is basically we give them a map and that of all their customers, their prospects, their accounts on their mobile device that they can work with to prioritize who they're going to see, who they're going to spend time with, given where they're going to be out in the field. So if you imagine a med device sales rep that's selling lasers, they are going to see this many doctors in a day. Let's just call it 8 doctors in a day, and they know that they're driving over here for it, and they've got a meeting at 10 and another meeting somewhere else at 2. We kind of help them figure out, okay, well, what else am I going to do next Thursday when I'm out in the field doing that? And that's really where the company started, and then we built a bunch of other tools and capabilities for field salespeople. Generally focused on the mobile device and for when they're on the move.
That makes sense. It hits home for me. I was in a medical device. I wasted tons of gas. It was reimbursed by the company, so I didn't care at the time because I got points. But I wouldn't have visibility into where my next prospects were. Right. So for those listening, before Badger Mapping, field sales reps really were relying on Google Maps to drive around and just get to the location, right, and get there safely. With Badger Map, you can actually not only lay out your customers, but actually map out prospects and almost plan your day in a way where if you have a meeting, let's say in Boca Raton, and you're going to drive from Miami to Boca Raton, if you got 5 prospects in Fort Lauderdale, you might want to stop by those people. And before that, people were really just not being as efficient, right? So your tool is really focused on increasing efficiency for field sales reps. Cool. Talk to me about your ideal customer. Now, obviously, I do understand that that's probably going to have field sales reps, but what do they look like from a location, industry, employee count? Are they SaaS? Are they service? Who are the 80-20 rule for you guys? That whole good old Cornelius principle, I think it is.
Yeah, the what is that? The 80-20 rule? Pareto principle. Yeah. So our ideal user is someone who is outside or field sales. They're going out into the world, but not every outside or field salesperson needs us, right? If you are if you sell something, you got 5 customers. You sell to Apple, you sell to Google, Facebook, and 2 other tech companies in the Bay Area. You don't have a routing problem, right? You might have an account mapping problem, meaning you want to, make a map of the whole organization and how those people relate to each other. And that's slightly different kind of software than we do. What we do is help you look at all the dentist offices or veterinary offices or, clothing stores or whatever your product is that you sell. And we help you map around to all of those and kind of figure out what you're going to do out in the field. So that's who our kind of sweet spot ideal customer profile is someone who is out in the field, moving around and meeting with, let's just call it at least 4 meetings face to face with customers a day. If it's less, right around there, you start to see some real inefficiencies and you start to have to spend some meaningful time. And if you're a rep who's got a higher throughput, we've got a lot of reps that do 12 meetings in a day, and some of those meetings just kind of drop it in for 20 minutes, 10 minutes to say hi to somebody, see if you can move the ball forward. The more face-to-face meetings you're doing, without a tool of this nature, the less efficiency, I guess the more inefficiency you're likely experiencing, and the more value you would see from a tool like this.
I got a really good example. I'm an investor in the company, and I want them to use your software so that the stock can go up. I'm thinking about a company called Medtronic. Their stock is down about 50% from the top. I know. I looked through their K1. They are spending so much money on gas expense, and we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars over the years. So a company like Medtronic, by deploying your technology to their whole entire field rep, which is all, the field reps to go by doctor's office, they probably can increase their valuation by, a few $1 billion. Those increases are very big. And you have, what do they have? 10,000 field reps.
Yeah. And some of their competitors are using this. They are not. We're
going to make a case study. Who are the competitors that are saving billions of dollars and increasing valuation, and how do we get Medtronics?
Yeah, the key for a company like that. I mean, so I actually haven't talked to anyone over there maybe in a little while. I don't really talk in the last 5 years or so. I haven't really talked directly to the customers all that much from a sales perspective. I kind of interact with our existing customers every once in a while, but the sales team generally kind of runs point on interacting with the customers. But I do remember talking to them a while back. This is probably 6-7 years ago now. And if I recall, their challenge with adopting new technology was that they're very decentralized. So I'm not sure if that's changed it, but it's trickier for if a big company like that is breaking up by product or by area, and they're not really, they're not centralizing technology decisions. And you see it a lot. You see big companies don't even have a CRM.
Listen, I'll tell you something.
Especially
their stock was at all-time high, they probably didn't care. They're down 50%.
Well, if in Medtronic,
you change it pretty fast.
Yeah,
when you're down 50%.
Well, and a lot of Medtronic, if you're listening today, the things that you get with a tool like this is your sales reps will drive about 20% fewer miles, and they'll get about 20% more meetings. And that's kind of a rule. We have 5,000 customers today. We're not a big company. We're still a pretty small company. We have 93 employees, I think now. But that's a mid-sized software company, I guess you'd call it. And across the board, the rule of thumb across our 5,000 customers is they save about 20% of what they were paying in gas, because the mileage goes down by 20%. But what's funny is that's a big number that pays for the cost of our software. But the real value is, well, if your reps are driving 20% less time, that's a tremendous amount of time they could be spending selling and doing other things that are actually productive. So giving them an organizational tool, that's what you get. They're going to get 20% more done in a day. And that doesn't tend to translate to 20% more sales, because there's inefficiencies in these processes. But I would give Medtronic a money back guarantee that they would.
I know what we're going to do, Steve. We're going to create a listing. The listing is going to say, Badger Mapping helped billion-dollar medical device companies increase profit margins and slash OpEx, like Stryker, whoever else you got. You're not going to name them, but it's probably one of the big guys, right? And then they're going to get jealous because they're going to see their competition saving money, and then they're going to save money, right? So we're going to do that. That's what we're going to try to do, and then they're going to act, because once they see that their so-called enemy is making money with Badger Mapping, they're going to want to do it too, and that's how the world works. So keep up the Joneses.
That's right. Yeah, no, and I'm here to help them. I really that's our ideal customer. But we don't just help like a really large med device company. A lot of our customers actually only have 3, 4, 5 salespeople in the field. So that's also super common. And a lot of our customers are just a single salesperson at a larger company, but they have figured out, hey, this is inefficient. My company didn't give me something like this. But a lot of salespeople can just run their credit card for a tool of this nature, because it's not expensive. It's $58 a month, right? So, that's below the limit that they can just swipe the card, and so they'll just buy it themselves. So one Medtronic rep can just start using it tomorrow, or a guy making beer in his garage selling to 200 bars around Denver. They can, and he's the brewer and the only salesperson. He can use it too.
How do people usually measure success of their product? Is it an increase of revenue, a decrease in operational expense? What's that typical measuring stick for success?
Most sales teams do. Well, every sales team that has a team in the field is measuring miles because they have to pay their reps for it, unless it's a 1099 team, meaning you're kind of your own little business. But someone is paying for the gas, and in most cases, a team, you're paying your reps 71 cents a mile or whatever it is this year, for what they drive, the wear and tear of their vehicles. So almost everyone's measuring that, and so you can put us in place and immediately see, oh, hey, that dropped 20%. That's cool. That pays for this thing. Sweet. But my favorite metric is when they'll say, we believe that we sold 7% more because of Badger, or 4% more, or 9%. And that's a trickier number because there are some steps removed, right? It's like, well, or could the marketing team take some credit for that one initiative they had? Or, hey, is it because our product got better? There's a lot of things that I can't purely attribute that, but I can say, well, your mileage went down 20%, and how many meetings were you getting before, and how many meetings were you getting after? And most companies who have field sales teams also track that, and still say, well, mileage went down, 20%. So meaning we know that everyone's driving 4 hours less a week, and also the number of meetings went up by 20%. So they got an extra 12 meetings a week for the whole year. And we know that translates into sales. It's hard to say the exact number of sales, but that's my favorite metric you can only get that out of like a high level person at an organization who's willing to take a swag at it, but they'll be like, my gut feel is that we bumped software sales or whatever kind of sales by 6% because of this stuff. That's my favorite metric, but the easier stuff is the stuff that's actually being measured.
That's what I guessed. It makes sense to me. Increased sales, decreased expense. Makes it faster, cheaper, more efficient to reach your customers in the field. Perfect time for a quick demo, don't you think?
Yeah. All right. Can you see a map?
Okay. Yes, I can see your screen, and everybody else can see your screen. A lot of dots.
Fantastic. So, this is the Badger map. And you can put whatever data in here and it'll show up as little pins on the map. We're pretty using
Does that data typically come from a company's CRM?
Usually comes from a CRM. Sometimes companies a rep will have a spreadsheet and we have the ability to upload that too. But most companies that purchase this would just connect us to their CRM, and we have connectors all built out for the major CRM systems, bidirectional CRM connectors. So what we allow you to do is any data that you have in your CRM that's kind of based on, well, whatever you know about your customers, the fields in your CRM, you can have them show up here. So if you had different customer types, you'd colorize the pins by customer types. And then you could filter off, hey, I don't want to see any of these types of customers, or I don't want to see any of these. And I only want to view the pens that are existing customers paying me more than $2,000 a month. You can do that. Mm. So any kind of, you can filter by any combination of things. You can also view all your CRM data here, right? So you can click on any pen and see the information about the person. And once again, this is very customizable. Whatever information you want to bring across, you can have show up here. You can view the place. You see it's and that we're pulling the picture in from Google, and you can see the address. You can take notes on it, and then you can do check-ins or pull in the check-ins or the activity information, your history with the account from your CRM.
It's also big to mention too that if you're a field rep, you're driving, you're trying to obey the laws, you're at stoplights, you had interactions. If you miss, you could be running late, right? And if you miss a turn and you lose 15 minutes, you can go from being on time to 15 minutes late. Good luck with that sale, right? So it's also visualizing where you're going probably saves a lot of time and wrong turns and mistakes that also lead to late meetings, which is something that people don't talk about, right?
Yeah, and another thing that's hard is the actual planning of this stuff in the first place. So if you've got 8 meetings tomorrow, it's like it seems trivial, but if you ever tried to go to like 8 places and be there at a certain time, and you've got to leave by a certain time, there's a certain amount of time to get to the next place, and you don't want to wait around in the parking lot for a half hour because you're a half hour earlier, because that's wasting a ton of time. So having an excellent plan and knowing, I have to leave by this time to get to the next place, and having your whole day, and then being able to like move things around. People cancel your meeting. Meetings can run long. You have to remove things around, all in real time is a really powerful tool. And it's almost like a calendar and a map and a routing optimization tool all had a baby, and that baby is named Badger. So
that sounds to me. I was driving around, right? So I know, because I was a field rep in a way. So I know. I actually, I remember actually getting in the car accident because I was late to a meeting and I was, close to someone's tail on the highway. They stopped. So a lot of these things have a downstream effect, right? And when you hire a person to be a field sales rep, are they really dispatchers, right? Like, are they like delivery people and dispatchers? It's probably not, right? So it almost seems like it's like, like a dispatcher as a box, almost like an assistant that's a dispatcher for these people. And it's not talked about, but like these are skills that people need help with, right?
Absolutely. And we've actually found that some people, and this isn't correlated to being good at field sales, but some people who are great field salespeople are really bad at geography and map reading and directions. And it's a real impediment. You can be amazing at pitching your product, and you can have the best personality skills in the world. If you're bad at this stuff, just naturally your mind doesn't route all that well. And it's more complicated to build a route than it sounds. Like when people can kind of intuit, 4 or 5 points, but like once it's 8 and, traffic patterns and everything else, the human mind can't fathom how many permutations there are. And some people are really bad at it. And I was in field sales too. And I was pretty good at it. I'm kind of cheating because I had a geography degree. So, I naturally think this way. But,
wait a second. So you're saying the CEO of Badger Mapping had a geography degree and did field sales and then built a solution to fix the problems? Who would have ever guessed?
And I worked at Google Maps. I was in charge. I worked at Google Maps on the Google Maps team. So I don't call me a creative genius. This is kind of, it was a natural. I kind of stumbled on I was just in the right place at the right time as the technology was kind of becoming available, routing APIs, mobile devices. So don't call me a creative genius or anything. I literally stumbled into this. I was like, this is an obvious problem that we can solve with computers now. But some people are naturally very good.
Obvious,
some people are naturally not
obvious, good. But very, very, very few people are solving it because they're stubborn, right? And that's what the whole point of the show is.
What's amazing is that I found only about 2 or 3% of people that need this software or would benefit from it use it. Is my estimate, and that's in America. And in Europe today, only 20% of companies that would benefit from a CRM have a CRM. In America, it's 90%. So I live in Europe now. I'm trying to proselytize here about the benefits of technology.
Faster, cheaper, more efficient,
right? So here's what it does. Like you're kind of you. Once you filter the map to the level that you want, you've kind of picked the things you want to pick. You can you can either select by an area and decide, hey, I want this, I don't want this, or you can you can draw a thing, you can draw a radius. There's a lot of ways you can just. A lot of people actually know their territory really well, and so like I want to see this person and this person and this person who's kind of okay. Now that I know that what's generally I'm doing. Who's along the way. There's a lot of different ways people will do this, but what they end up doing is some thing along these lines, and they build themselves a route. And let's just say they started over here. This is where I went to high school. So I'll use that one. And so we've built a route for the day. Now I'm doing this on a computer right now. Honestly, people don't use this that much. They're using this on their mobile device. So this is on the iPhone and the Android, tablets, iPads, etc. That's where this is mostly getting used. But adjusted, right? Because obviously when you're out in the field and you're making these adjustments on the fly, that's when it's really interesting, right? But you can move your route around, you can adjust things, you can swap this and that. You can say, oh, this is an hour meeting instead of a 30-minute meeting. Hey, I don't want to end here.
Right. If one doctor or somebody reschedules from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., you need to be able to quickly reroute yourself, right?
Exactly. If number 2 here, decides they don't want to meet with you, you got to be able to press X, right? And know, okay, what does that do to what does that do to my my whole day? Well, now I can get to all these places at different times. But what if this place was, what if this was a set meeting for noon already before she quit? Well, now you've kind of got some time to kill, right?
Now you got to visit a prospect.
That's right. Now, and what a brilliant lead into our prospecting tool. So this is our prospecting tool. Let's use your favorite company, Medtronics. And let's just say we're talking to the group that sells to orthopedic surgeons. So you can search anything you want. Orthopedics, I already had up here, but you can see these are all the orthopedics in the area, all these little blue dots that show up.
Yeah, it's big because people don't realize that they're often driving by millions of dollars of pipeline that are 2 minutes away from the hour drive they just made, right? And if you walk in, you might get a deal. If you don't, you'll never get a deal.
I mean, I couldn't have done this any cleverer. I literally didn't set this up. I just zoomed into Chicago at random because I'm from there. But like along this existing path that we don't have to adjust our path at all. But there's Fox Valley Orthopedics, and I could just add that to my route. I could save it and then it will show up in my CRM, and I can add notes to it, etc. It just becomes another. But I can just add this into my route. My route hasn't even changed. And they just show up.
Also, you're using Google Maps as a lead gen source, right? Which is very important because sometimes, look, you work for a company, you rely on them feeding you with a list of leads, but if a new chiropractor opens up next door, you better believe that's going to be in Google first, and now you can enter it right to your CRM and so also doing list building.
Exactly, and that's where this information is coming from. We have a variety of data partnerships, but these orthopedics orthopedics here. That's coming straight from Google, and they have some pretty incredible data. So like Fox Valley Orthopedics here, they've got obviously got its address and its phone number, its websites right here. It's all of its hours of operation. Pretty cool. And if we save this, that's all saved. All that information is transferred to the CRM, which is awesome. So now your orthopedic salesperson just has 2 more leads just like that because we had somebody cancel, and so then we were able to add people that were right along the way. And any kind of account we can look up here, right? Like whoever it is, we can just do searches like any random thing you can think of, like I don't know, let's just say what's a good example? I'm looking at my list. All my good examples are already on this list.
Acme screens.
What's that?
No, I think it's good. For me, I think the example is good. It's really simple, but yet not used. If you don't see your map as, money, because that's what it is. If you're a field rep, you have a map. There's a reason why you're a field sales rep, right? It's because you're required to be in the field, right? So for me, there's just a lot of efficiency gains when it comes to routing out your day, knowing where you're going, knowing how to update your schedule if someone cancels, and then knowing where the prospects are is a huge thing, right? Because I'll tell you right now, anyone looking at this who's in field sales, they don't have this. They're not using this. They're not doing this, right?
Yeah.
And they're losing money doing it too.
Well, and it saves you time in a bunch of ways, right? So like we built this route, but now we also know the stats of the route, right? We know that you drove 122 miles, and your manager knows, and you can send them a PDF of like what happened that day for your mileage report, right? So like that, if you've ever tried to, like every field salesperson doesn't have this, they have to like drop it all into Google Maps, and it's a silly little thing to drop 8 places into Google Maps, but every day, and they don't do it every day, they end up doing it once a month, and it takes 3 hours, right? Whereas if they've saved this route, the second it's saved, now you can just bring it right up, run the report, and it's super fast, right? You don't have to memorize it. You don't have to like rethink, what did I do that day? Who are my check-ins? On the mobile device, we also have a bunch of slick little workflows that really are very helpful. On our website, you can see a demo of what this looks like on the mobile device. Hard to develop demo over a podcast anyway. But how
do people start with your tech? Do you guys offer a free trial? Is there like a pilot? What's like usually the entry point for somebody?
Yeah, an individual or a company can do a free trial or a pilot. So they can even try it hooked up with their CRM. So we don't connect to every CRM, but we've got connections, two-way, real-time, native connections with the big ones. And frankly, when we run into a company that we haven't done theirs yet, that's how we decide which one to do next. So
HubSpot, Salesforce, you got it.
Yeah. HubSpot, Salesforce, Soho, Insightly, Microsoft Dynamics, NetSuite, etc.
So, Steve, we're going to work on Medtronic together because I want my investment to go up. For anybody listening, and if you're in field sales, if you want to try this yourself or get your company to try it, hit the link that is in the description, and you can try the free trial. And Steve, I appreciate your time. For anybody who wants to connect with you, what's the best place to reach you? Is it LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok? I think you've been on TikTok these days.
I do a lot of dancing on TikTok, but that's not professional. So, I generally the best place to, for my business fans to reach out is LinkedIn. If you're a dance fan, definitely hit me up on TikTok. But if you just Google Steve Benson LinkedIn, I'll pop right up.
Dude, I appreciate this. I'm excited to see how far you guys have come in 6 years. And there's so many field teams out there that can benefit from using your software. So I hope that they find you. And everybody who tuned in, thank you for checking us out on the Transform Sales Software Demo Review series. Steve, I'll let you go. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.